Good evening, campers and staff and families. This might be a little too loud now. I gotta get too close to it. All right. Welcome to the 16th annual family camp of Camp Constitution. And this is our 5th year at this beautiful Singing Hills Christian Camp and Conference Center. And before we open in prayer, actually we'll open in prayer first. Reverend Stevie Kraft is our camp chaplain. And he had an accident driving up here. Now it's a little too low, I think. He had an accident driving up here in his camper with his wife and a couple from Cape Town, South Africa. They're okay. The Mrs. Olive from Cape Town had to be brought to the hospital. They should be here directly. But we'd like to open in prayer, and since Reverend Kraft's not here to do it, we're going to have Mr. Villaniscus. Mr. V?
Mr. V. So let's pray. And we want to thank God that we got here. And we'll thank God that the Crafts and Company are well enough. So let's pray. Lord, I thank you that we have this opportunity to gather in this wonderful place at this wonderful time, Lord. And sometimes we wonder about what's going on in our lives and the times that we're in and what our part is in it all, Lord. But I pray that through this camp and through prayer we would find out that answer, that we would know what our part is, what's going on, and what to do about it. And to be mindful that what we learn here can be applied and towards the future and endeavors that we undergo. So I pray for the safety of all here. I pray for the Crafts and for their associates that were with them, that you'd help them to get safely here and that you would watch over us and bless this time and just look out for us, each of us, in the name of our Savior. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Mr. V. And also a special prayer for Mr. Donald Trump, who they tried to take him out last night, and it wasn't successful. So a special prayer for that as well. And also prayer for peace, because we don't want any civil war in this nation. We want to have peace. All right. My name is Hal Shurtleff. I'm the co-founder and camp director, for those of you who don't know me. But before I give our little program, I want to give a special thanks to a friend of mine. His name is Professor Willie Soon. A few of you may be familiar with him because in early January, I was going to actually show the interview, but I couldn't get my mic. I left my speaker in the van that's being used to pick up Reverend Kraft. So maybe we'll play it sometime during the week. Maybe you can play it during one of your classes. The 2-minute, he had a 48 or so minute interview with Tucker Carlson, and the last 2 minutes was an unscripted, from the heart infomercial from Willie Soon that aired in early January, and we received 50,000 unique views within a week of that, and we were getting it right along. We got $2,300 in unsolicited donation. Someone from Romania made like a $300 donation, unsolicited. And I don't know how many people are here because they saw Willie Kraft. Willie Soon. At least I catch my mistakes. Yeah. I don't have to be told 2 days later, you know. Hey, Zelensky, I called Putin Zelensky and vice versa, you know. Yeah, so I want a real thanks to him. And actually, we really hoped that Tucker Carlson was going to come and speak to the camp. That was his intention, but the Republican convention's this week, and he probably didn't know that. So it's in God's hands. At some point down the road, we'll love to have him come and talk about journalism and how to be a successful journalist. All right. Okay, the camp mission is in our motto, and you can see our motto right up there. Honoring the past, teaching the present, preparing the future. Our mission at our annual camps is to teach people the U.S. Constitution, our Christian heritage, the issues confronting us, and motivate people to take a role in restoring our nation's foundation. And we have some folks from other countries. You can get busy in the other countries too. Or you're welcome to move to this country. We could use your help. How's that? And also to have fun, fellowship, and lifetime friendships. This is a place where your children will meet children, and some of them stay in touch and become, again, lifetime friendships. And we get such wonderful reviews from the parents that just love their children being here. You young people are the next generation, your next generation of leaders, the CEOs, the pastors, elected officials. How many young people plan to run for office or think about running for political office? 1. Okay. It's tough. By the way, I ran for political office. I came in second, which second is only good for horseshoes and hand grenades, you know. Also, the future Camp Constitution staff and instructors and the future camp director. I'm getting a little old, folks. I got about 10 or 12 years in the tank left, but that's where our future is for you young people here. And by the way, the most important thing is mothers and fathers. That's the two most important jobs in our country. So when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm just a housewife," what? Just a housewife? That's the most important job in the whole world. Okay, with the exception of me, I'm the only full-time staff member. I tell people I get paid weekly, W-E-A-K-L-Y, but I'm doing okay. We are an all-volunteer organization. Counselors and staff pay to come here. We give them a little bit of discount, but not a whole lot. They have to take a week from their schedule, a week's vacation. Some people are on the golf course or on the beach. They're here because they know how important this is. So they deserve your utmost respect, folks, you campers. We have donors that help make this camp possible, and many families are here because of the generosity. Be a good steward of their generosity. I just got a fellow that I met in Virginia. I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago. He reached out to me. He runs a foundation. He's already made a $500 contribution, and I had to make a report. And then he said, "You can make another one. You can make another grant." And he said between $2,500 to $5,000. And I wrote a little one paragraph. He said, "I approve. We'll see what the board says." So we want to make sure that his generosity also is appreciated. Okay, pay attention in class. I know it's hot. This room is air conditioned, but when you get 100 people, it kind of sucks out a lot of the coolness. And the nurse is going to tell you, stay hydrated. By the way, the water in your rooms, this isn't city water. It's well water, so you can drink right out of the faucet. It doesn't come out of the Connecticut River. It comes out of a well, and the water here in New Hampshire is probably some of the best in the country. So stay hydrated and show respect to the instructors. They spend a lot of time preparing these classes. And by the way, we have 15-minute breaks in between each class. You don't need to walk out to the bathroom during class. Unless it's a medical emergency, don't do that. It shows that you're not showing respect to the instructor. Do not talk in class. Do not pass notes. If you have a question, you raise your hand. By the way, most questions are sort of answered towards the end because you might have a question about something and then the question is answered. But there was a time for questions. And I want to point out too, during the class here, and all the classes for the older teenagers and adults will happen in this room. We don't want the adults asking questions during the class. And the reason being is sometimes the adults, well-intentioned, kind of take over and the youngsters got a little intimidated to ask questions. You have unlimited access to the instructors all week long, and they'll be glad to talk to you. But during class, we had Vivek Ramaswamy here last year, and we had just the campers. And one of the campers asked some wonderful questions. And one of them said, Mr. Ramaswamy, what is the purpose of government? What a great question. His answer, I would have given him half credit, by the way. By the way, that's an easy answer. To protect God-given rights. That's the major function of government, right? So, don't be afraid to ask a question. If you don't know something, the only dumb question is that question is not being asked. So don't be afraid to ask a question if you don't. We want you to get the material that we're given to you. Be on time. My late father said, if you're on time, you're 5 minutes late. So that means you should be sitting down 5 minutes beforehand, okay? I want to review the schedule. All of you got that little bag? Someone want to pull it out? Pull out okay. There's a schedule. Now there's a schedule for the junior campers. If you have junior campers, there's schedules on the table where you registered. I also have them posted on the window. You see right there? Both sides. and the pink is the junior campers, so you can have no, I don't know what's going on. Well, there's the schedule. So that really answers a lot of questions. Look at the schedule, right? Now, families with young children are not expected to make it to the flagpole or campfire. We'd love to have you there, but I know to be up, to have everybody ready at 10 minutes of 8 can be a challenge. But the meals are at that time. They're from 8 to 8:30, so they may hold a meal for you, but they probably won't be necessarily to do that. Oh my goodness. This poor lady is waiting for me. She was supposed to come on first. Why don't you come on up? I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Karis.
Yeah, Cara. She's one of the staff here, and she's been here since 21, and she's going to go over some of the rules of the road here at camp. So go ahead.
So yeah, hi, I'm Karis, and I'm on guest services staff here at Singing Hills. And I just want to echo kind of what I told the Camp Constitution staff before, that we're really glad to have you here. We're really excited. We believe that God uses camps and retreats like this as a really powerful tool to just work among his people. And so we believe that God's going to do some amazing things while you're here, and we're so happy to be here to serve you. So I just wanted to go over a couple practical things just to try and make sure that your time here runs smoothly and that everything kind of goes well. So for meals, as Hal mentioned, we will be eating over in the lodge, which is the building across the street, the lodge dining hall. And so we would ask that before meals, you would line up in the living room there, as some of you may know, as you ate dinner here. And so we would ask you to just kind of be on time for that as much as you can, just to respect our kitchen staff's time and, make sure that you have enough time to eat and everything. We also ask that you would take just a single portion as you go through the line, and if you do want to grab seconds, that's totally fine. We would just ask that you grab a clean plate in order to do that, just for sanitary reasons. And we would also ask that you keep the food in the dining hall and you don't bring it back to your rooms or anything like that. You're totally welcome to have your own food in any of the buildings, but we would ask that you keep the food that is from the lodge just in the dining hall there. And we would also ask that normally you would have your wristbands on, especially for meal times, just to keep track of who's here. I do apologize, so we did not have the wristbands ready for you for anyone who was here at dinner, so that is our fault. But I think just before breakfast tomorrow, I think the plan is to hand out those wristbands just to make sure that we have track of everyone during meals. So if you could just keep those on during the week, that would be super helpful for us. So that's about everything for meals. If the fire alarm should go off in here, we would ask that you just leave the building immediately and go to the lodge just across the street. You can gather in the dining room or the living room there and just wait until we're able to communicate with you further. If the fire alarm goes off in the lodge, we'd ask that you come here and the same thing. And then in Hillside, if the fire alarm goes off, we would ask that you just come down the hill a little bit to the basketball court. So just kind of try and leave the building as quickly as possible, and we'll just wait outside until the fire trucks and everything come and we can communicate with you. For noise curfew, we would ask that you wouldn't have any kind of loud, excessive noise outside after 9 p.m. So no, loud games or loud singing after 9. I know you guys have campfires around that time, so you're totally welcome to hang out there and enjoy that. We would just ask just to respect the neighbors and anyone who might be trying to sleep at that time, that you would kind of keep it down outside. And then at 11 p.m. we would also ask for the same thing inside, so kind of no amplified noise after 11 or anything like that through the night until 7 a.m. and then go crazy after that. For recreation times and swim times that you guys have this week, we have a lot of yard games that you guys can feel free to use. Obviously, we have the basketball court over there. We have a couple fields. We have cornhole and spike ball and all other kinds of games like that. So if you would like to make use of any of those things, you can just ask Hal, and then he can communicate with us so we can get those for you. For the swim times, you guys have the pool, which is down there at the intersection. And then the pond is just over here a little bit farther that way. And so we would ask that you kind of stay out of those areas except for your scheduled times, just because on your schedule it's usually 2:30 to 4:30. That's when the lifeguards will be there. And so just to make sure that everyone stays safe, we would ask that you only swim while the lifeguards are there at the time that's on your schedule. We do also have a gift shop up at the lodge that will be available after lunch and dinner, so feel free to check that out. And then the last thing that I would say is if you have any concerns, any issues with your room, or anything that you might need, if you could communicate that again to Hal. He has a radio, and you can communicate that to us, the staff, and we would be happy just to solve any problems that you might have. So if you have any questions or issues at all, just let Hal know, and then he can let us know, and we can try and solve any problems that you might have, because we're here to serve you. We want to make sure that your time here just goes smoothly and that you really enjoy it. So yeah, I think that's everything that I have. Thank you for your time, and yeah, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Okay, where was I? Where did we leave off? Okay. So I want to review the schedule, and I mentioned that, here we go. Super Camper. So on Thursday morning, the staff takes a vote, and they look at a young lady and a young man they think above and beyond the call of duty, so to speak. So what we look for is a camper, a boy and a girl who participate in class, ask questions, that might buy books from the book table. I love that. Participate at the campfire, show leadership. That's the most important thing. Especially in the rooms, if you happen to be assigned to a room, unless you're with your parents. And that super camper will win tuition for next year's camp, or they can give that tuition to a relative or a friend. And we also choose a runner-up. Runs into town. If you run out, if you're a parent, you can go to town anytime you want. There's no gate. We don't lock the gate during the day. Just let people know, that hey, I'm taking a run to town or what have you. There's a little market about maybe 8 minutes away, in the village of Meriden, and then there's that Walmart and those places that are about maybe 25 minutes away in West Lebanon. So we are in a kind of wooded area, the wilds, but we're 25 minutes from a Walmart, so it's not that remote. Okay, but if you happen to be a room, you're in one of the rooms. You'll give, if you say you need some shampoo or toothpaste, so you can give that money to your counselor, and we will, Mrs. Stewart, she can show her hand. We also have another gentleman, Eric, who does runs into town, so we'll make sure you get what you need. Chain of command, that's a military term. I spent time in the United States Army and Army Reserves. If you're a camper and you have a problem, you probably, unless it's an emergency, you don't come running to me. You go to your counselor goes to the head counselor, and pretty much it can be resolved before it gets that far. I am not a Supreme Court justice. If your counselor says no, I will let the lower decision stand. And we know a little bit about Supreme Court decisions, don't we, folks, right? So keep that in mind. I want you in the bag, all of you should have gotten, or most of you got a bag when you checked in. So in that bag is a pen, a camp schedule, a little pamphlet that tells you what we're about, a reprinted article on how art's been perverted by one of our, a good friend of ours who lives not nearby. And what else was in there? Something else. Oh, a constitution. Yeah, so I do have extra, you should bring that bag with you to class, because you want to make sure where you are and who's teaching, and we're going to review that Constitution pretty much on a regular basis. Okay, so at this point, we're going to have a few staff members come up, and the first one would be Mr. Kalis, who's the head counselor, and he's a recreational director. Mr. Kalis.
Thank you, Hal. Obviously, I'm Mr. Kalis. I want to thank everybody for coming back. And if it's your first time, I consider you a friend, and if not, hopefully by the end of the week we'll be friends. He told you that I wear two hats. At first, I started this 20 years ago. Hal was talking about make a friend. We started 20 years ago, and I have 7 kids, and they've all come here. My son Gus, this is probably going to be his last year. He's 18. How many years have you been coming? 13 years he's been coming, and we wouldn't miss it. One of Hal's daughters and one of my daughters are such close friends that she was in my daughter's wedding a couple years ago. So I would urge you to make some friends. After Mr. Hederney passed away, I took on the hat of being the head counselor. So I've got some, if you remember him, it's some big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best. In order for us to have a successful camp, we almost have close to 150 people here. Obviously, we're going to have to, we're coordinating your whole day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the time in between. So we have to have some semblance of order. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is, you might ask, well, how can you help? Right? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're all Christian here, so that should make my job easy. We're asking you just to show off your Christian morals and beliefs. We're asking you to be charitable to each other and follow just a few camp rules. Hal's shared with them, and if I'm redundant, I'm sorry, because we need to share with them. But one of the biggest things we're going to ask you to do is to participate. And what does that mean? That means wear your name tag for us. There's 150 people here. Half of you are new. How many are new? Can you raise your hand? I mean, half of you are, more than half of you are newbies. That's awesome. I mean, let's all give them a hand, Opie. That's really cool. That's really good. So there's no way we're going to remember your names, and we'd like to be congenial with you and say hi so-and-so. So wear your names, and we're asking you to wear them up here, not down here where we have to look for them. Wear them up here so we can look at them and see them, and that helps us out, and we kind of feel like we're a part of a group. I know Hal said this, but I'm going to say it again. Be punctual. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. That's important. That's showing respect to the speakers, to us, what we're doing, and we're coordinating our time. The things that you got to be punctual on: meals, classes, flag raising and lowering, recreation events, campfire, and then lights out at 11. Another thing that we ask you to do is to engage in class. Raise your hand. If you raise your hand and the instructor calls you, stand up, speak loudly so others can hear you. The activities. If you're not participating, we try to do one group activity every day, and then we have side issues for the older kids and for the younger kids. But we try to bring everyone together once a day for a group event. And if you're not going to participate, say in Steal the Bacon, you surely can come watch, cheer on a team, pick a side, or Mr. Affleck, who runs the newspaper. I'm not going to assign somebody to write an article, but it doesn't just have to be one person. A second person's opinion and take on that baseball game or volleyball event or Gaga tournament would be way cool. So he would really appreciate it, and then he doesn't have to beg you all to do something. And I would like to share this with you at this point. Last year we do this thing called room inspections, and I'll share that with you. But the deciding factor on who won, and you win free pizza on Thursday if your room wins the room inspection, was that this one room turned in more articles, and you get points for turning in articles. So that's important. All right.
Just because you mentioned that the families can participate.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah. Okay, and speaking of activities, we have so much. We're going to have a blast if you engage, if you participate. Polar bear swim at 6:30. Now that may sound like a crazy time, but we sometimes have 20 people down there for half an hour swimming. It's way cool. You get your name in the paper too. We have a fun morning run. Is it a 2-mile run? Who's running the run this year? Okay, 1 mile or 2 miles? Who knows? Okay. Then we have afternoon swim from 2:30 to 4:30. And let me just rattle off some of these tournaments. And by the way, the tournaments, we used to have them and try to go long and finish them at the end of the week. It doesn't work that way. The only tournament that goes on all week long is the chess tournament. So all these tournaments are, you just show up and you're in. So wiffle ball, gaga, basketball, like I said, chess, but that's all week long. And the sign up for the chess is where we get ready to go into lunch or breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and there's a sheet up there. You sign your name. I'll peel off the name and put it on there when I do the brackets. We have a Connect Four, a big Connect Four game that we do, tournament. Simon Says. Last year we did Simon Says. We separated the kids and the older adults. We're going to do it all in one. So I hope that'll be fun. Volleyball. I said basketball. Steal the Bacon, which is a big fan favorite. King's Corners, it's a card game. Marksmanship. Spunky the Clown. So participate. Do as much as you can. You don't need to sleep. You don't need to go sit and take a break. Before you know it, the week's over. It goes so fast. The room inspections. This is a really fun thing that we get to do, and it encourages tidiness, neatness. We're asking for originality, creativity on decorations, and you might want to slowly take out your decorations so you build it up. But we have two boys groups, 2 boys rooms, a girls room, and then if any of you parents want us to inspect your room as well, it's a great way to get your kids to keep it tidy for you, you can be included. And so we grade those rooms, we make comment, we take pictures, and there's a commentary each published in the newspaper each day, and the scoring is pretty cool. And at the end of the week, whoever has the most points, keep in mind you can earn points by participating in the newspaper, and they get their free pizza for free on Thursday night. All right. Phone policy. We try to be a electronic free camp. I know we can't always do that, but for the kids and the campers, we try to keep activities so busy that there's no time for this. And there's not. And you're not going to post something and it's going to go viral. We've had phones in here for years now, and that just doesn't happen. So we're asking you, parents, to help us with that. I mean, if it's an emergency or if you go on a field trip, you want to take a picture, we get it. But we're asking you just to use your phones after campfire when you go to your rooms, if you got to check in or whatnot. And I know some of your adults, I mean, I got a business I'm running from home. I might have to use it. So if you see me on my phone, I got a good excuse. But you don't. We have a couple camp traditions that we like to use here. And a lot of times there's a lot of kibitzing, and if we need your attention, one of us who's been around will say, Camp Constitution, heads up, and then you'll answer, heads up. Let's do it again. Camp, heads up. Heads up. See, and that way, boom, we got your attention just like that. And I'm going to do that a lot. I mean, you're going to hear me a lot. Usually I'm making an announcement at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is a great place to get everybody. But then we have another really cool tradition that we like to do, and that's we like to, as our founding fathers back when they were there, to be excited or to honor somebody, they would say, hip, hip, huzzah. And we do that 3 times in a row, and each time it's to get louder, so that we're really energetic about it. So I would like us all to, everybody on your feet, and let's practice that, please. Yes. So at the third one is really loud. So hip, hip. Huzzah! Hip, hip. Huzzah! Hip, hip. Huzzah! There we go. All right. Now I know that there's 2 people here that aren't here that are going to watch this. And since they're not here, I would like to honor them by giving them a hip, hip, huzzah. And that would be Charlie and Ruth Harper. They are founding members of creating this. Once it got canceled, we got together and he said, we got to keep this thing going. And so let's do this. Everyone on your feet, let's give them a hip, hip, huzzah. For Charlie and Ruth Harper. Hip, hip. Huzzah! Hip, hip. Huzzah! Hip, hip. Huzzah! All right. Very good. All right. There's a lot of prayer going on here. I'm a Catholic guy, and I pray the rosary every day at 4 o'clock down at the gazebo. So if anyone would like to join me for that, it would be great to have you. And now, this is just for the new people. This is my 3rd or 4th year doing this. I just stumbled upon this. We used to do a quiz or a test in here, and we don't do that anymore. So this is my quiz to you. This is just for the new people, because some of you old people are going to remember this. I'm going to ask you, what does this mean? Don't shout it out. I'm going to ask you. Just raise your hand if you know what this means. Okay, what does that mean? No. Sir. 2 genders. We're Christians. There's no figuring it out. We don't have to figure it out. I've taught 9th grade biology 7 times. I went myself. I know it. It's pretty easy to figure out. The only person that changes that is God. When 2 people get married, a man and a woman, they become one. Very good. God bless. Let's have a great time.
Okay, by the way, the morning run will meet at the flagpole. And who's the young lady running the flag? Just stand up and let everybody see you. Okay, so at the flagpole, 6:30, do some exercises and then go for a grueling 1-mile run. Okay. Since Mrs. Edith Kraft is not here, hopefully she'll be here soon, could I have Mrs. Mickle, who's also the camp nurse, so you can two stones with one bird, or one bird with two stones, something like that. Okay.
You want me to talk junior camping first? Hal? Junior campers first?
What's that?
You want me to talk about junior camping? Okay. Ooh, whatever I want. That's a little dangerous. All right, first off, we do have a junior camping program. Years ago, it was family camp, and the older kids got to do all kinds of wonderful things with speakers, and the little ones just hung around with parents. So Roberta Stewart and I had done a camp at our home called Patriot Camp, and we did a week-long camp. So we decided to bring it here. It's a little different, but the principle's the same. Is give the kids some foundation. What is the Bill of Rights? What is the Constitution? How did it come about? Revolution. What do you do? So we have guest speakers sometimes. I think this time Paul Revere might appear. So we do all kinds of wonderful things, and the kids have a foundation so that when they come to the older kids' camp, they have a basis, they have a foundation. So that's what we do, and we have awesome amount of fun. The other hat, I'll take off that one and put on the other one. I'm the camp nurse. So if any of you need anything, I do have my little bag of tricks. Most important thing is, especially for the counselors and the boys and girls rooms, it's really important to understand that there might be ticks in the area. So to make the kids check themselves, to look at them to make sure that they don't have any ticks, because it could be a dangerous thing. Most of the time, I've only had one time where someone came to me with a tick, so it's not like it's an epidemic, but it is important. And again, what Hal said is hydration. It's very, very hot. Very, very hot. So make sure that your children, yourselves, drink as much as you can. The restrooms are really close, but it's really important to do that, because if you don't, I'll get people with headaches or not feeling well or sore throats. Most of it's because you're dehydrated. Dehydration is really a dangerous thing. So that kind of thing. Anybody that needs anything, I'm in room 23, and I will give you my cell phone number, but that's a little bit useless in this camp because it doesn't work. Last year or the year before, I had somebody whose mom had written to me and sent me a text and said that her daughter had hurt her arm, and, could I check with her? Well, by the time the text came in, I had seen the kid, taken care of it, and it was done. So it took about a half an hour for the text to come through. So it isn't something that is really valuable. But I will give it to you if anybody would like it. I'm available anytime that anybody needs to see me, day or night. You can find me usually with the junior campers. This year I was supposed to be able to be one of the big guys and listen to the speakers here, but our camp exploded, so it's really awesome. So I will be in either this older kids or younger kids classroom most days, and all afternoon we'll be around with children or whatever. So hydration, check for ticks, make sure that you pay attention to where your kids are all the time, especially if they're near the water. Please. Have an awesome, awesome week.
By the way, it's room 23, which is right here to the right, a few doors down, so through this door. So in the likely event an emergency happens and you have trouble reaching anybody else. And by the way, the most dangerous place in this camp is either at the pool or the pond. So do not go in that pool or that pond without a lifeguard there, or in the morning with Mr. Kalis. Don't go even on the beach. You all hear that? I know it's hot, you may want to go for, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll go for a little dip, no one's going to notice. Even the best swimmers can drown. So keep that in mind. Very important. Okay. Oh, by the way, we have another nurse here. Is she, Miss Shurtleff? Is she? I think she's out here. That's my daughter. She's a second-year nurse or third-year nurse, and she'll be shadowing. She won't be here the whole week. And then I have another nursing student. That was my daughter Emily, and they were both campers from when they were real little ones, and I'm very proud of them. And so Emily will be here on and off. We live about an hour and a half drive from here, and so, okay, so we have Doc Long. If ever anything else, Doc Long, he'll do open heart surgery and, removing appendix, things like that, if that's necessary. Okay. Now, we want to bring up Mr. Mark Affleck, and I think Mr. Affleck and I go back, I think, to 1990, believe it or not, when we both had 32-inch waists and 48-inch, now it's just the other way around, right?
Hello. All right, so we're going to have a Camp Constitution Journal, this newspaper every day. Typically, it'll be available after the campfire. Am I getting picked up here? Yeah. The first issue is already out there. It has all the bios, so if you don't have one, pick it up and you can read about all your instructors. On page 5 are the instructions for the cabin inspection contest. All right. But what's important for you guys to know is that in order for this paper to become yours, we need your contributions. So I'm looking for, what am I looking for? I'm looking for quotes from your instructors. I'm looking for stories. They don't have to be elaborate, but I'd like to know what your take is on the events of the day. Who won what. Who did what. If you have, even if you have little funny stories, somebody did something funny. If you want to give me a photograph, if you're an artist and you draw, you can submit drawings. If you want to write an open letter to Donald Trump, go ahead. I'll put it in there. Whatever you guys want to do, I'll be glad to submit. Put your name on it. Put your cabin on it so that I can get you points towards the competition. Also, we have a picture archive every year, so anybody that's roaming around taking photographs, if you want to donate some photographs to me, I'll be glad to put them in the archive. And then for years to come, people will be able to go to the website and look how goofy they were 10 years ago or whatever. Right? There's a puzzle page usually in each of the newspapers, so anybody that likes little puzzle games and whatnot, then, you can do that with your breakfast or whatever. So, and that's, I think that's pretty much it. If you need to get a hold of me, my email typically is in this newspaper, so you can submit electronic articles right to my email. And I'm around. I'm not going to put my email on this on this recording, so I will. I'll give you that if you can't find it in the paper. If you need it, I'll give it to you. Okay? And that's it. Okay. Yep.
And I believe the camp newspaper has already been distributed to some, I think, on the table out there. And again, it'll be every evening after campfire. But usually you pick them up. And we're going to have a snack bar right to my left. There's a little place there. It will start, I think, tomorrow afternoon and in the evening. Okay, let's see. Who else we have here? Oh, yes. We have the campfire director, Mrs. Polly Heath. Mrs. Heath?
It's so good to see you here, everyone. And I'm so glad we have lots of new people. So just as the success of the newspaper depends on your involvement, the success of the campfire at the end of the day depends on your involvement. So I'm really excited that tonight is our first night for campfire. Right after this, it'll start at 9 o'clock. Do you remember when you drove in, you saw a basketball court on the right? The campfire is right behind the basketball court, so that's where it is. And if you want to perform tonight, does anybody like to sing? Who likes to sing? Stand up if you like to sing. Who likes to do skits? Stand up if you like to do skits. Who likes to recite poetry? Does anybody like to recite poetry? How about tell jokes? Is anybody good at telling jokes? All right, good. So everybody that's standing up, especially, I would love for you to sign up, if you haven't already, for tonight or one of the nights. You can sit down now. But I'm counting on you all to get involved. And so where you sign up is, remember what we talked about? You stand up in the living room, they call it, in the building right across from here, before meals. Well, there's a table right before you walk in to get your meal. And there's a piece of paper like this for every single night. And this one says Sunday, and there's one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So there's about 12 different slots for you to put your name, put your type of act, and what the title is. And we can have all kinds of fun, and we do have all kinds of fun. And you must come hear Mr. Shurtleff lead us in My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean tonight, right, Mr. Shurtleff? And Mr. and Mrs. Kraft, who aren't quite here yet, are going to lead us in the bear song. So we have specials like that we do all the time. But I'm looking forward to all you new people bringing us your special talents. We've already got some girls from Michigan signing up for tonight that have never been here before. So please get involved. You make it fun. It's going to be a blast. And I will tell you, Mr. Shurtleff and Mr. Kalish, we've already gotten a compliment from the staff today. I was just in the dining hall before I came over here, and I was getting a glass of water, and the gentleman cleaning the dining hall said, "You know what? I'm so impressed with this group. We have a sign over on the side wall that asks the group to please wash the tables off after each meal." And he said, "This group is the best at washing the tables off." So let's keep up the good work, everybody.
Let's see if I forgot anybody here. Okay, no, I guess we covered everything. And I know there might be some questions. Any questions right now? Okay, I'm just going to quickly go over the weekly schedule. Now, we have 3 classes in the morning, 9, 10, and 11. And that's expected. I mean, if you're a youngster, you're expected to be here. It's not, oh, I already know that subject. I don't have to be there. No, you got to be here. Afternoon, we have organized recreation, and tomorrow we have a friend of mine from my church coming up to give some martial arts training. It's optional. I think it's at 3 o'clock. Look on the schedule, and we'll determine where it will be. So it'll be somewhere nearby. Tuesday, we have more martial arts. This time it's shooting from one of the top instructors, I think, in the country, and his staff. And it's optional. If you who has never fired a weapon before? I think, yeah. Well, you folks have the priority. If you want to go down there, and if you haven't fired a whole lot, you get a chance to fire a whole lot, or at least a lot more than you have used to, okay? Also, Wednesday is an optional field trip to the Precision Museum in nearby Windsor, Vermont, and what we'll do is we'll carpool over there, and you can, if you're talking me into it, we'll stop for an ice cream on the way back, okay? And of course, Thursday is our famous wiffle ball game, the Shurtleff All-Stars versus the Kalish Barnstormers. I don't think we've lost a game in 10 years. We have that record to maintain. And I've got my catcher right here. He's my, stand up, Franklin. He's my catcher. He's my Carlton Fisk. Some of you who live in the area will know what I'm talking about, okay? So I know it's going to be hot. So, oh, by the way, yeah, Thursday, the word banquet, I have to change that. We don't have a formal banquet, but we have closing ceremonies. And you, generally speaking, people who have bought their, like a tie or a dress, we put it on before dinner. And then after the closing ceremonies, before campfire, we can take them off. And then pizza night, it's an optional thing. We'll have a pizza menu probably by Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll have pictures taken, and I think your father-in-law will be here, and we'll meet by the cannon. Some of you might have saw the cannon, and we'll do a little cannon instruction and get a chance to fire it if you're interested in firing a cannon. We don't fire any live rounds, at least we don't think we will. Mr. Krutoff, you didn't bring any cannonballs, did you?
So I found out that the Celsius kids, they fit just perfectly into the muzzle that kid.
Excellent, okay. All right, so what's next on the schedule? And what time you be there? No, what time? That's right, all right. Dismissed.